Subscribe to our channel, press the bell icon and never miss an update from Latestly.
You can't say, oh, I will save the world or my nation between 9 to 5.
जो आमतौर पे होता है कि मेल डोमिनेट करते रहता है तो ऐसा हमारे सीरीज में नहीं है। मुझे वही करना था जो स्क्रिप्ट में, और स्क्रिप्ट में कुछ ऐसा नहीं था कि आपको कहीं जाने की जरूरत हो।
Do I have the time to now have an emotional bond with my family? Maybe not.
मैं कुछ गलती करता था तो ये लोग टीचर को नहीं बोलते थे, खुद मेरे को कभी उल्टा लटका दिया, कभी कुछ कर दिया।
All right, then first of all, welcome to Latestly.
Thanks, Parmesh.
Jaanbaaz Hindustan
Hi.
Thank you.
full of power. When I say power, in terms of patriotism, in terms of realism, in terms of telling stories that need to be told with conviction of courage, in the sense that here you are compelling us to watch a narrative which reinstates the force, our faith in the force. So while becoming part of this, what was going on in your head? What was the most challenging part? And I'm asking this question because when it comes to showing the force on screen, you have to have that perfect balance where you are not putting the force, our forces, on the pedestal. At the same time, you're not criticizing them either. So in that sense, how did you work on the narrative in your capacity?
Okay, great question, Ramesh. Thank you. I think working on the narrative is more the writer's job. As an actor, I need to know if I'm convinced that that narrative works for me or not. And interesting that you say that, such shows, patriotic shows generally, I think the subliminal key would be to, restore your faith in the forces. But I feel like these are also stories that are waiting to be told, in the sense that we as laymen, as citizens of the country, do have an idea. A lot of us belong to families, whose parents or someone or the other has been in the army or the navy or wherever, or the police force. We understand those lives, and for other people who don't, it's also very important to know what goes on. And I think Jaanbaaz Hindustan Ke is one of those shows that draws light or draws a parallel between the two worlds of an officer, and especially a woman officer, to show, to have people understand that these are things that go on either side as well, basically work and family. So to restore your faith, I guess, would be to restore your faith in a woman officer as well, should be noted. So yeah, I was pretty convinced with what I read. It's a cop drama. That's what Jaanbaaz is. It's not something you haven't seen before, but it definitely it throws light on things that very interestingly told. So yeah.
Barun, we have been having this discussion for a very long time now. I mean, you have to have a show, or you have to have a material that constantly pushes you, that challenges you. What was it about this particular endeavor that had you hooked?
Actually, I had not read the script. I was just telling the other journalist right now. I didn't read the script. I was not given the script. This is probably the first time in my life I've done something without reading the script. It was a guest appearance. Someone wanted me to do this. So getting attached with the show, I mean, he just gave me a basic one-line kind of a thing. But to go back to your previous question when you were saying, how can you help? What are you trying to figure out in the narrative and stuff like that? I was actually very interested. I'm very interested in direction anyways. I was very interested in seeing how Srijit sir is going to put this whole thing together. And I think from the looks of it, whatever little bit I've seen, I think it's come out really well. I was interested in seeing that. My part, I was already ready because we'd already done the workshops for it. There was not a lot anyway. So I was a trained kind of a person who's trying to figure out other people's job on this show.
What was your reading of the whole situation and of the show, and how did you approach it?
बार बार एक ही सवाल का जवाब देना पड़ रहा मुझे।
ऐसे ही होते हैं।
यस। तो फिर से हम जानबाज की तरह इसका जवाब देना चाहेंगे कि देखो, ये कैरेक्टर मेरे लिए बहुत कमाल था। मैं एक स्मॉल टाउन हैकर का कैरेक्टर प्ले कर रहा हूँ जो अपने रूट्स को लेकर के आया है। और हमारे क्रिएटर्स का कहना था कि भाई हमें एक ऐसा हैकर चाहिए जो स्मॉल टाउन का हो और ऑर्गेनिक हो, उसके अंदर कोई बहुत बड़ी बड़ी चीजें ना हो, मतलब जैसा हम आमतौर पे फिल्मों में या सीरीज में देखते आ रहे हैं ऐसा ना हो। और मुझे पूरे सीरीज को करते हुए एक एक्टर के रूप में और एक इंसान के रूप में भी बहुत कुछ सीखने को मिला। तो इस नाते, और नो डाउट हमारे एक्टर लोग कमाल थे, हमारे डायरेक्टर कमाल थे, हमारा प्रोडक्शन बहुत बढ़िया था, सब लोग अच्छा था। और यही वजह है कि जानबाज इतना बढ़िया बन के आया है। तो इतना काफी है और बोलना पड़ेगा।
I must draw your opinion on this. When you work for a platform as huge as Z5, which goes to so many countries, what does it do to the artist in you? I mean, getting a platform as solid as this for a story as solid as this, does it give you the much needed boost?
ये सवाल मेरे से है?
नहीं, सबसे।
ओके,
आप स्टार्ट कीजिए।
आप स्टार्ट कर लो।
मैं ही स्टार्ट। देखो मुझे मुझे लगता है कि देखो ये जो लोग मुझे पंचायत से जानते हैं उन लोगों के लिए थोड़ा सा अलग तो होगा, हालांकि बहुत ज्यादा अलग नहीं है ये भाषा के लेवल पे और बाकी चीजों पे, बट ये है कि हमारा जॉब इसमें अलग है। तो नो डाउट पब्लिक को पसंद आएगा और इससे एक बूस्ट तो मिलेगा ही कि हाँ ये लड़का ये भी कर सकता है। हालांकि इसमें थोड़ा सा डाउट है क्योंकि अगर ये जगह अलग होता या मेरा बॉडी लैंग्वेज अलग होता तो इससे ज़्यादा मुझे फ़ायदा मिलता, लेकिन फिर भी पब्लिक को एक कुछ नया देखने को मिलेगा। और नो डाउट ये प्लेटफॉर्म बहुत बड़ा है तो इसके रीचेस भी है अलग अलग जगहों पे, तो इसका फ़ायदा मुझे मिलना चाहिए। और सबसे ज़्यादा पब्लिक को बहुत मज़ा आने वाला है क्योंकि इस तरह के शो मुझे लगता है इकलौता शो है अब तक जहाँ तक मेरी जानकारी है, क्योंकि जिस तरह से कहानी को हम लोग प्रेजेंट कर रहे हैं और एक पूरे एक जो आमतौर पे होता है कि मेल डोमिनेट करते रहता है, हम तो ऐसा हमारे सीरीज में नहीं है। हम मतलब एक लेडी जो आयरन लेडी हो सकती है और वो अपने दम पे सब कुछ कर सकती है, इतना सब कुछ परिवार पर्सनल लाइफ में चल रहा है, हर जगह चल रहा है, इसके बावजूद भी वो बहुत मजबूती से इस देश की रक्षा कर रही है। तो इस तरह की कहानी है तो नो डाउट पब्लिक को भी बहुत पसंद आएगा।
As Chandan is saying, lady officer, he's a lady officer who is at plate, so to speak. What does it then say about the changing narrative in terms of gender dynamism? Is India now waking up to the stories where women are leading from the front?
ये मुझसे ही है
Regina?
Okay.
Yeah, I think that has already started. It's already been happening. We're in the middle of a change. It's been a few years now that we've seen these things change. Right from when I started working and my career started in 2011. I was working before that. I was acting before that as well. But when I started working, there was this, and I was constantly prodded with these things of, you have to make the most of the next 5 years because it's only the next 5 years that you have. And for a young girl, all of 20, to listen to people having to say this was just like, first of all, you have an idea of the industry, but only when you start being in it do you actually feel it, right? Knowing something and then facing something is very different. So when you actually hear these things, it sounded very archaic to me back then itself. And me being the stubborn person that I am was always just like, so what, just wait and watch, and rightfully so. In all of those years, in the next 5 years, I saw actresses who had gotten married and been written off, as it used to be back in the day, were now coming back and were giving hits and obviously none of the they were not doing mainstream work. They were doing their own thing, and it suddenly became a big thing. So so having to see that, and now having to see so many OTT shows driven by females, driven by a woman protagonist, it's so nice to see the change. It has not just started. It had started a while ago, and to see a change happen, it takes time. I mean, Rome wasn't built in a day, they say. So I guess it's all of us women are part of that bandwagon, whether we like it or not.
The title itself, it itself talks about heroism, but most people also say that these people are doing their job. They are highly, thoroughly professional. But we know that there is much, much more than just the professional tag that goes with it. There's something that you put on the at stake. To be very honest with you, blood, sweat, efforts, desh bhakti, as you say. Was there any reference point? Was there any material that you guys looked at to be able to portray the characters that you are portraying in this one?
For me, I worked very closely with the creative team. I wanted all the information that they were using to write the script itself. I wanted all of that for myself, just to understand where they were writing it from, you know. So my material was mostly interviews and a lot of videos on YouTube. And Sanjukta Parashar is one of the IPS officers whose name came up a lot. I haven't met her, neither have I spoken to her, but I know a lot of people who have. And it was very interesting to understand what a third person's perspective of this officer is as well, you know. And also to see her interviews and to see the things that her perspective on things as well. So that was my material, but the rest of it is something that that came out of it. I think everything came out of the little bit that I had to read, and plus the script was pretty detailed itself.
Barun, Chandan, आपके लिए क्या reference point था?
Yeah, there was no individualistic reference points for my character, at least. The same thing like what Regina is saying, there was a lot of insight that was put in by the writers and stuff like that. I think the characters that we're playing are amalgamations of real life characters, but not one singular reference point. Apart from that, with respect to the performance, I usually tend not to see things. I like to read and develop the characters, so that what I think of the character is not tampered by the outside world or how people perceive it.
Okay. चंदन, आपके लिए?
मेरे लिए भी कोई मैंने कहीं से रेफरेंस नहीं लिया था, और क्योंकि मुझे वही करना था जो स्क्रिप्ट में, और स्क्रिप्ट में कुछ ऐसा नहीं था कि आपको कहीं जाने की जरूरत हो, है ना. ये जो कैरेक्टर है ये आम लोग है, मतलब हमारे आपके जैसा दिखता है, लेकिन अंदर से बड़ा खुरपाती आदमी है, फटाफट चुटकी बजाते चीजें कर लेता है. तो इस तरह का था. और मुझे क्या लगता है कि एक अभिनेता के तौर पे हम क्या करेंगे क्या ना करेंगे वो सब कुछ स्क्रिप्ट में होता है. आप उसको बार बार पढ़ोगे तो उससे बहुत सारी चीजें मिल जाती हैं. तो मैंने इस कैरेक्टर के लिए कहीं जाके किसी को स्टडी नहीं किया, तो जो है सो स्क्रिप्ट में था, और स्क्रिप्ट को पढ़ के ही मैंने जो करना था वो मैंने कर दिया.
My last question, जाबाज हिंदुस्तान के इतना बहुत ही ज्यादा दमदार टाइटल है, ट्रेलर काफी ज्यादा इंप्रेसिव है. मुझे ये बताएं कि जाते जाते कि हर एक किरदार होता है जो उसका रेसिडुअल इफेक्ट छोड़ के जाता है. Whatever you study for that particular character stays with you for a very long time. Also, you tend to discover certain facets about that profession, about that individual. So what is it about the police force, the IPS force, and the force around it that you have discovered through the characters that you have played for this one, in this one? All of you, each one.
All of us now are not playing police officers. Regina is, so yeah. You go.
But you have discovered various facets that are revolving around that force. So what has that restored your faith in the system, therefore?
Oh my God, I don't want to answer this. Regina, you'll have to.
Has that restored your faith in the system? I think if you don't have faith in the system, then you're not going to be able to live properly. In the sense, you're going to constantly have. If you don't think you're secure, then I think all our officers do a great job when it comes to keeping and making your citizens feel secure. As a layman, I know that I'm secure, right? I think that's most important. And it doesn't come from just one person, which is why it's the forces. Playing this character has definitely given me insight into a lot of things that go on that I never understood before. Also to understand that their lives are not very different from someone else's life who has a very high-strung job. The job demands a lot from you. You don't have timings as such. You can't say, oh, I will save the world or my nation between 9 to 5, which I also find very similar to an actor's life. I sometimes work 15 hours a day, and do I have the time to now have an emotional bond with my family? Maybe not. And these are parallels and similarities that I find, but I am not having to deal with, like I said, deaths. And that's a huge part of, at least for Kavya Iyer, because as an IPS officer, she's someone who went on ground and did things that you wouldn't generally do on an everyday basis also. And I think it's so important for all of the officers. If I have learned anything from this, I think it's so important for all of the officers to be in touch with themselves. Otherwise, there's only a very thin line between sanity and insanity, and it could go anywhere.
Barun, you want to add to that?
Yeah, what I wanted to say was restoration happens when there's been any lapse or anything of that sort in the system. And especially, I can't talk about anything else, but the Defence Services of India are one of what they've done is testimony to the fact that, we as regular people, we don't even think about, we are at risk. The Defence Services of India have done such a great job. I'm sure you guys don't sit down thinking, neither do I, कि अब कहीं और ठिकाना बनाना पड़ेगा, यहाँ से भागना पड़ेगा. So the Defence Services, they don't need any. My faith does not need to be restored because it's always been there.
देखो यार, मेरा तो क्या है कि पूरा बैकग्राउंड ही ऐसा रहा है. क्योंकि थोड़ा पहले से जाऊं तो मेरे जो दादा लोग थे वो 5 भाई थे और उनमें से 3 इंडियन आर्मी में थे. उन्होंने 62, 65, 71 की जंगें लड़ी हैं. मेरे चाचा लोग कारगिल के युद्ध लड़े और खुद मेरे पिताजी बिहार पुलिस में है. तो एक शुरू से ही ये चलता आ रहा है. मतलब अगर मुझे घर में मैं कुछ गलती करता था तो ये लोग टीचर को नहीं बोलते थे, खुद मेरे को कभी उल्टा लटका दिया, कभी कुछ कर दिया, कभी सर पे ईंट रख के. तो इस तरह के पनिशमेंट, और शुरू से मेरे अंदर एक इंडियन आर्मी, देश, आज भी कहीं तिरंगा देखता हूँ तो ऐसा लगता है रुक के एक बार सैल्यूट मार लूं. तो इस तरह का शुरू से देश के जानबाज लोग के साथ मेरी परवरिश हुई है. उन्होंने मुझे पाला पोसा है ना. तो ऐसा कह सकते हैं कि हमारे ये जो रगों में जो लहू बह रहे हैं ये देश के जानबाज के हैं, है ना. तो हमारा तो बहुत पुराना नाता है. अगर मैं एक्टर नहीं होता तो आज भारत के सरहदों पे होता और लड़ रहा होता भारत के दुश्मनों से, है ना. तो मैं तो क्या ही इसे, तो अपना तो शुरू से ही ऐसा रहा है.
The show the whole production looks absolutely impressive, and thank you so much for giving us a show of this nature, for giving us production of this nature. The endeavor that, as I said in my introduction also, that compels you to talk about the force that has been working absolutely efficiently to keep the country safe. Thank you so much for this chat.
Thank you, Prathamesh.
Thank you, Prathamesh.
Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you,
बहुत
Prathamesh.
धन्यवाद.